it is time. What's going on, guys? My name is Slattery, and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Lego Shang-Chi Customs. This is something that I have been working on for a couple of weeks now. In fact, I had a batch of characters completed, but after having seen the movie a second time, I realized that I did not do the costumes justice. I messed up on a couple of the designs, and so I decided to scrap that entire 12 and remake the characters freshly. And now I'm very happy with the design. So much so that I'm looking forward to hear from you guys down in the comment section below on which is your favorite design. And of course, in addition to that, I am looking forward to seeing maybe designs that you've assembled. You can tag me on Instagram and Twitter at Blitzwinger, or you could share your designs on the Discord Blitzwinger page down below. With that in mind, let's kick things off with the casual attire Shang-Chi. This is, of course, the way that we kind of see Shang-Chi at the very start of the movie. I should also mention, guys, there will probably be some elements to this particular showcase that are kind of spoilers. It's really nothing that you wouldn't know if you've seen the trailers, but just in case, if you want to be spoiled on nothing absolutely at all, you have been warned. With that in mind, here we have Shang-Chi as we see him in the bus fight scene, which at this point I would honestly title already a modern classic. It is quite possibly one of the coolest action scenes in modern cinema. Very, very, very happy with the way that it has turned out. And of course, if we have classic Shang-Chi or casual attire Shang-Chi, we also have his superhero attire. So this is the dragon scale armor that he is rocking and rolling in the latter half of the film. I also did go on ahead and add the orange 10 rings effect, plus of course the actual 10 rings wrapped around his arms there. I am super happy with how this particular design turned out. This is definitely a huge standout out of the entire 12 that you will see here today, but boy, oh boy, have we got some more epic designs for you. So next up, we have Shang-Chi's sister, Xialing, and this is a design that was not easy to put together, and I did actually decide to go with also the dragon-scaled armor design for her from the latter part of the movie. Obviously, we see her in a much different attire at the very first introduction to her when we see her battle Shang-Chi, but I decided to go with the end, or I guess the latter half of the film. And yes, she is indeed holding a carrot. The reason for why that is because she uses this kind of like a rope with a kunai attached to it as a weapon. And so this was the closest thing in the game to that particular weapon. So I wanted to try to go on ahead and actually have that present as well. Next up after that, we have a character that we meet right around the same time as we meet Shang-Chi's sister, and that would be Jon Jon. I know that he's not like a hugely important character in the movie, but I felt like, you know what, I want to try to do my best to showcase all or as much of the cast of Shang-Chi as possible. And so I felt like even though he's wearing a pretty simple attire, he's not a very complicated character to build like some of the more superhero designs. I did decide to go on ahead and assemble him and have him present in today's showcase. Next hero on the docket is the one and only Katy, and obviously this is her from the latter portion of the film when she's rocking rolling that bow and arrow as well as that dragon scale outfit. I think this one turned out super duper well. I did go on ahead and utilize the elements of gold to bring a little bit of a highlight to the costume so that it's not all just flat red. Again, just to give a little bit more texture to the actual design. And then, of course, the extra details such as the bow and arrow. Next up, we have Xialing, aka Shang-Chi's aunt, the character that is an absolutely pivotal part in the success that Shang-Chi later on has in the film. As well, maybe I shouldn't be actually mentioning that because that might be a little bit too spoilery. Regardless, she's a very, very prominent hero in the latter portion of the film. And once again, I wanted to go on ahead and do this particular design justice, as well as try to capture that whole look of the fabric that they wear, but at the same time it obviously has the dragon scales element implemented into it, and so that's why I utilize certain items like the arm pieces to give it a bit of a crossover feel between something that is both fabric but at the same time almost has a more solid element to it in terms of it being an armor plate. Next up, we have Ying Li, which would be Shang-Chi's mother. And yes, I did decide to go on ahead and use the costume that we see her wear at the very opening of the film as she spars with a certain someone in one of the most beautiful scenes in that entire movie. It really was almost like a fight scene that felt like a dance, truly. And I thought it was just such a cool look, such a unique design compared to all of the other characters that we see throughout the movie. So I felt like that would be the coolest look to go on ahead and capture from that particular film. Of course, she goes on to wear a bunch of other costumes as well. So if you feel and you prefer a certain different look, you can go on ahead and utilize that instead of this particular attire. Oh, didn't see you there. It's the one and only Trevor Slattery. Yes, we slowly but surely transition now from all of our awesome heroes to our villains. And who better to introduce than Trevor Slattery, who of course plays actually a pretty prominent role in the Shang-Chi movie. This is the character that was of course introduced initially in Iron Man 3 that then was a bit of a controversial figure for sure. Let's leave it at that. And I decided to go on ahead and give him the outfit that we see him wear right as he appears in the Shang-Chi movie, where he's wearing that kind of Shakespearean almost look and the cape that is draping over just the one shoulder. So there you have it. That is Trevor Slattery. For our next villain, we have the one and only Death Dealer. And I am super happy with the way that this one turned out. This is one of my personal favorites out of the entire 12 that I have assembled here today. I am just super duper happy with how this one has actually turned out. If I could have just changed the hairstyle to be a tiny little bit more accurate, I legitimately think this could be an official release. It's that close to the actual film. And speaking of being close to the film, here is Razor Fist. Yes, I do wish that I could have made him a tiny little bit taller, but I did actually, as you can see, capture the big giant sword arm that he has, or I guess maybe it's sword hand really, that he has, plus the actual installation being kind of a mechanical component. So you can see that's why the design on that particular arm is a tad bit different to the other arm. And then the rest of the costume is pretty accurate. And of course, it would have been awesome if I could have made him a tiny little bit taller and a bit bulkier, because that's the only thing that I think is missing for this one. And last but certainly not least on the villain side of things is Wenwu. Even though if you ask me, I honestly don't even consider him to be all that villainous. Again, we can debate all that, but that's fine. But that's not for today's video. I did go on ahead and decide on the costume that he rocks at the very end of the movie. I know what you're saying, Blitz. The shoulder pad is the incorrect color. You would be correct. I wish I could have colored that blue. Unfortunately, it is not an option in this game, but even then, I still am super duper glad with how this one turned out. I included the details of the actual 10 rings on the arms, as well as the blue, I guess, energy source. Whereas when we see, of course, Shang-Chi take up the mantle with the 10 rings, they are actually glowing orange. So I went ahead and included that particular detail. So with that in mind, we have one more character to look at. This one is going to be a doozy. And we saved the goofiest for last, because this is the Great Protector Dragon. Yes, I actually did go on ahead and assemble the Great Protector Dragon in minifigure scale, because I thought it would be pretty awesome to include this character. After all, it is a pretty prominent character in the film, and I thought, you know what, it would be quite challenging to do that character as a minifigure, so why not accept the challenge and attempt it. You can see I also included the water kind of effect around the dragon, as that was obviously where the dragon seemed to had always reside, was within that lake that we see in Shang-Chi. And so with all that in mind, guys, there you have it. That was 12 different designs from the Shang-Chi universe. Let me know which one was your favorite. Let me know which ones you think actually turned out really well. Of course, if you enjoyed the video, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Turn on your notifications. And of course, guys, don't forget, if you're in the position to support the channel beyond that, consider becoming a member and or grabbing some merch. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out. See you later, alligators. Bye-bye, everybody.